Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from worldwide. I'm Sterling. It's great to have you back on the channel. This show is being recorded for Sunday, February 11th, 2024. As always, these shows are recorded for entertainment purposes only. All the information I share with you comes real time through my guides, angels, extended spiritual counsel, ETs, famous people from history, so for entertainment purposes only. Also, if you just remember to like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell, all those things really help the channel. And just a quick footnote, we do not have a Facebook page, so if anybody reaches out to you through Facebook, it is a complete scam. I've actually been talking with Facebook, trying to get the page, or I think there's even two pages up. They're impersonating us, and Facebook has been very slow to pull them down. So we do not have any Facebook accounts, just a word to the wise there. As always, we run a contest every time we reach a new level of 1,000 subscribers. We give away a free half-hour session with myself. We have not reached the next level of 1,000 subscribers, but if you wish to enter, all you have to do is enter comments in these shows starting off with the word love. That's how we know you want to enter the contest. And then on the show where we cross over to the next 1,000 subscribers, I think we're headed towards 46,000 subscribers right now. We then randomly select the winner from the comments in that show using a computer app. So very easy, very straightforward if you wish to participate in the contest. We gather questions for these shows from our community board. That's up on our YouTube channel. Requests go out on Mondays, and then they're shut down late Thursday evening Pacific time zone. My wife then goes through them and selects a batch of questions that she feels kind of most appropriate, most helpful for everybody here on the channel. I think this week she made a note. We had 392 questions, and then she came up with like roughly 55 questions for this show. So with no further ado, let's get going on today's show, being recorded for February 11th, 2024. Question 55. Since Republicans in Congress voted down the border bill, which had a lot of what the Republicans wanted and the most restricted bill in history, will the Democrats now vote in a bill that will benefit the Democrats? Well, I do see in the end analysis that'll be the case. What I'm being told is that, there's now separation of whatever was the bill. So, like Ukraine aid and aid for Taiwan and Israel, it's all being separated out now from a border bill. And it looks like the border bill eventually is going to go through here the next few weeks. But it'll be very beneficial overall. So I would say stay tuned. Don't worry, but it looks like that border support bill over the next few weeks here is going to get passed. Yeah. 54, hi Sterling and team. Love your show. I was wondering if extraterrestrials who are capable of telepathy ever close their minds so nobody can read their thoughts. Is there a necessity for them to lie or deceive as they are much more spiritually evolved? All the extraterrestrials I communicate with, I never come across them lying. They are highly evolved. What's interesting is that in telepathy, it's like initiating a conversation, just like you would have with the other person. So if that person is not having a conversation with you, they're not going to be telegraphing telepathic thoughts, if that makes sense. So it's not a matter of you, let's say, going in telepathically and mining all the information in their mind. It's really like initiating a conversation. So if they're not initiating a conversation with you, no reason to lie, no reason to block. They just don't talk with you. 53, hi Sterling. 10 years ago, my granddaughter Ella and I were in front of a garden of my residence. I live in Perth, West Australia. A plane approached, which had three bright stars trailing it. As the plane went over us, the bright stars stopped above us in the shape of a triangle and hung in the air for about 5 minutes before ascending very quickly upwards. Could you please tell me what this was? I've been confused for over 10 years. These actually were extraterrestrial, what they call drone ships. These were drones, and they're all over the world. They track events and also track military aircraft. So these were actually extraterrestrial drones. You see them all over the world, lots of reportings. 52, dear Sterling, do the spirits of our departed loved ones see everything that we do and know everything that we say? What if there is something that we do not want them to know about? Is it inevitable that they will know? Well, yes, this question comes up all the time. Loved ones on the other side, they can see everything going on with us, both past, present, even future. What's interesting is they don't have the same connection to it that we do here on Earth. So things we might find embarrassing or secrets we're trying to keep, it doesn't resonate the same way when you're on the other side. When you start a brand new life on the other side, and you're a place of complete love, it doesn't have the same bearing. So, loved ones are really not interested in all the ins and outs, idiosyncrasies of everything going on in our lives. They see the truth in all things, but don't have the same level of interest. So, really, it's kind of a waste of time and energy for individuals here on Earth to be worried about what loved ones are seeing. They're standing in a complete place of love. So there is no feeling of embarrassment or fear or anything of that nature that we still feel here on Earth. So yeah, good question. It comes up all the time. 51, do you see William and Catherine ever being crowned King and Queen of England? Yes, I do. Over the next like 1 to 2 years here, and years ago when we were talking about King Charles coming into reign, I always thought it would be a very short tenure for him. So we're starting to see that develop now, and yes, I do see eventually here William and Catherine being crowned. 50. What was the purpose of Special Counsel Robert Hur's detailed report on Biden's handling of classified documents? How much damage will it do to Biden's possibility of reelection? I get no effect whatsoever. So I get that what you're seeing here is what I'll call an effect in a news cycle. No effect whatsoever. Just kind of a news cycle, talking point sort of an issue. The age thing is going to be battered around a lot for both candidates, but does not look like to have any long-term significant effect. And the effect that was in Robert Hur's report it had more to do with politics. And I think a lot of individuals are very smart and shrewd, and they see that that was more of a political ploy to kind of hurt President Biden, which it won't. It's a very short kind of news cycle thing here. 49. Hello, Sterling and team. In regards to implantable chips such as Neuralink, and that's Elon Musk's venture, which aim to access databases, which I presume would be through a Wi-Fi connection, would this mean they could be hackable from someone outside, leading to control of the individual's thoughts and processes like mind control? No, I mean, the implantable technologies like Neuralink, which Elon Musk is behind, there's thousands of electrodes, very microscopic electrodes that will be kind of implanted around the brain. And it's going to use very encrypted technology. So not just the kind of Wi-Fi transmission. It'll use a wireless technology, but very high bandwidth wireless technology encrypted. So no problem with mind control, those kinds of things. Remember, I know it's an uncomfortable topic, but extraterrestrials use this technology all the time as we go forward, decades in the future. The implantable technology will be very common, not just for, let's say, communicating data back and forth between supercomputers and a person, but it'll also help with health problems. So some neurological problems will be aided by these implantable devices. So it's coming. It's in the future. I know a lot of people are uncomfortable, but it's coming. But no problem being hacked or mind control. These are very advanced technologies using encrypted wireless links. 48. Sterling, do you and your team have any information on why Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell suddenly withdrew his support for the Senate bill to address border security? I believe he initially backed the bill, but then when 45 stepped in and tried to sway the entire GOP, it got down to a very small number of GOP that were even supporting it. And it looks to me like it was more of a political calculation for him. He didn't want to be like last man standing. So it looks like he backed out, really led by the fact that 45 was pushing against the bill. So yeah, that makes sense to me. I understand why he did it, but my team's saying that it'll always kind of go with what makes sense to him. He's trying to maintain a look as kind of a strong leader, which we know he's not, for entertainment purposes only. 47, High Sterling and team. What will happen with Vince McMahon and the allegations against him? I mean, unfortunately, I see some very long court cases here that do not look like they're going to go in favor of Vince McMahon. So, some very long court cases, long drawn out legal strategies back and forth. I mean, it's an unfortunate situation overall for everybody concerned. But yeah, it looks like it's not going to go in his favor. 46, High Sterling. Will the Supreme Court refuse to hear the presidential immunity case and leave the appellate court's DC decision in place? If the Supreme Court does accept the case, how will they rule? Will all these appeals prevent the federal case from being tried before the election? It appears to me that the Supreme Court's going to render a decision based on the lower appeals court detailed documents. So they're actually going to leverage a lot of that work that's been done. So look at this: the Supreme Court, in the case of this immunity, the Supreme Court is not going to grant 45 immunity. It's not going to happen. But it looks like they'll lean on the lower case, and it looks like it's going to be a very rapid decision to me. So very, very quick. And was there something else this person's asking? Will the appeal prevent federal case? No. There'll be some delays, as we're all seeing here with these cases, but I do still see the federal case, the one that Jack Smith is bringing, that's actually going to eventually accelerate forward and be very far along by the time we get to the presidential election in November. It's a very good possibility it could be concluded before we get to the presidential election, but I see that case moving along. So Supreme Court's not going to grant immunity, leverage off of the lower DC courts decision or decisions, plural. 45. Sterling and team. Elon Musk is planning to place up to 42,000 satellites around the Earth as part of the SpaceX program. The satellites will surround the Earth in electromagnetic frequencies, which have been shown to be harmful to human health and high exposure. Some experts have already voiced their concern: is this project going to hurt the planet and its inhabitants? No, this is something that's going to be ongoing. It's not going to have the same negative effects on the planet in terms of, health concerns. I think there's roughly 14,000 satellites up there right now. They're already supporting SpaceLink, which is kind of global internet access everywhere for the world. And then you will move up to the larger number, was it 42,000 satellites that will eventually also support SpaceX. So this is going to roll out, not a big effect on the planet, although a very helpful effect. I have to tell you that it's kind of like global internet access everywhere. But the satellites are high enough in the sky that it's not a direct effect on health, is what my team's telling me. So it's going to roll out. It's going to be here, but I would not have large scale concern, whoever asked this question. Okay, 44 in the countdown. A few weeks ago, I was stopped at a traffic light with my husband, and a couple of bluebirds landed on my car, and one kept staring at me. It flew off when the light changed. So today, at the same place, what looked like the same pair of bluebirds came to visit again. This time, it looked like the female hung onto the window ledge and stared at me. I had chills and then some tears. This was clearly a visitation. I felt so honored and charmed by the visit. Who or what was this? This was a mother energy for you from the other side, a maternal mother or grandmother, but a mothering energy. It was actually one of your relatives. And it's important to understand that our relatives influence animals, so they can influence the birds. It's not your mother or mother-in-law that is the bird, but that energy is actually manipulating or causing the bird to make contact with you to try to get the message across. And that way, all animals, as a matter of fact, work with the other side when there's an important message to get to us. And you see that not just from birds, but all sorts of animals. Could be dogs, could be elephants, could be you go to a zoo and you for some reason there's a horse that comes up to you. The other side can work very effectively with animals. Animals are very collaborative, cooperative in that way. 43. Will the governors who back 45 and sent National Guard troops south to the border face any repercussions? I get no, none whatsoever. Maybe a little slap on the hand, but this is kind of a large-scale coordinated effort. Even the federal government is going to get involved. It's it looks like it's really not going to be nothing more than a hand slap. 42, Sterling, when we are in this reincarnation wheel, do we stay on a human earth wheel, or can we reincarnate into a more advanced being that might live on another planet in a different galaxy? Also, I understand we rise and evolve, but can we humans incarnate and become angels at some future point? Well, so first off, there's always a lot of free will. When you go to the other side, you don't have to come back. A lot of people choose to come back because I would say, eternity is a long time to spend on the other side. As we evolve kind of incrementally. There are thousands of levels in heaven. Now, we don't ever really evolve into angels, so we don't get up that high. Angels are very unique entities that were created at the same time. All the souls were created by the one source, the one force. When you go to the other side, you can absolutely, if you'd like, go to all other places in the universe. It's actually somewhat similar to astral travel. When you astral travel, you disconnect the soul from the body, and that plane is expansive. But yes, when you're on the other side, before you reincarnate, if you want to go visit other galaxies, other areas, other planets, you certainly can. But you don't really necessarily, let's say, leapfrog and go from where your soul journey is, your soul level at that point, and now all of a sudden jump up 1,000 levels, and now you're a much more enlightened entity. It's the reincarnation cycle that helps to elevate. That's the continuing school that we all go through. 41, hi Sterling and team. Can you please give some insight on the cancer diagnosis of King Charles? How advanced is the disease, and will he be cured of cancer and continue as king? Well, I'm sorry to say, this is actually, we've been talking about this now for a year to 2 years. There's things going on here with King Charles that are very concerning, and the cancer diagnosis is rather severe, and it will cause him to step down as king. So it's a serious diagnosis. I'm highly concerned, and this is going to be continuing to kind of play out in the news cycles here, huh? Okay, 40 in the countdown. NASA just announced today they found a new super Earth. It is 137 light years away, that they think it will be habitable for humans. What do your guides say? Yes, it's absolutely habitable for humans, and there actually are hybrids already living on that planet. So we've got many planets in the solar system that are being habited by hybrids, so they will sustain human life. It's very true. So this is just one of many that's going to be discovered going forward here. 39, greetings, Sterling and team. Can you tell us if King Charles and Harry had a good meeting? Yes, it looks to me like it was a good, heartfelt meeting. But there's, because of the health problems going on with King Charles, I'm getting there was a bit of a stamina problem. So it was a good, productive meeting. It needed to happen, and there'll be more coming in the future here. But I realized it was relatively short. But I'm getting had some sort of health stamina issue with King Charles. 38. Hi, Sterling. Are your angels and guides masculine and brutish? Would they intimidate most people? Is looking intimidating universal for authority figures? No, I deal with thousands of angels and guides, and I've never find them to be aggressive or overly masculine. There is a lot of the angels have very feminine qualities, and some have masculine qualities. But they do, there's a lot of energy that comes through when you're dealing directly with them, or they're sitting in front of you and you're talking with them. So in that way, it can be overwhelming. It's like anything that anybody does in life. If you're an athlete, you train for years to be a weightlifter or a football player or basketball, but or a musician. So you train, and yes, there's a lot of energy coming from angels and even apparitions on the other side. So you kind of train, you kind of build up stamina, if you will. But never do I ever see them being overly aggressive or bullish or anything of that nature. No. 37. Louise Hay wrote a book called "You Can Heal Your Life." According to this book, illness is an indicator of your emotional state caused by your thoughts and focus. Is this true? And is this book accurate about illnesses and their causes? Well, my team always says that all illnesses, or everything that we face in life, we've actually already put on our life path blueprint. And there's a reason for that, because all illnesses are inherent lessons. Major health problems are usually big resets in our life. So if you get laid up for 6 months because of a health problem, many people go through a big life reset. These are all put on your life path. You've actually done this before you came down here. So, in that way, my team always says that not only is it part of your life path blueprint, but it's also part of the blueprint of those around you, family members, friends, doctors. So all of our life paths interconnect. So at least my team, from their perspective, they're saying that it's not something you bring on randomly. And I think what it said, according to the book, illness is indicator of your emotional state. Well, everything you experience in life, but it's not just part of your emotional state. It's really part of your life path blueprint. Hopefully that makes sense. 36, will new conscious musical artists be able to help change the divisiveness, violence, war, and criminalities against humanity, animals, and Mother Earth? Well, all music, like for thousands of years, will continue to benefit humanity, raise their vibration. Music, and I think this person's calling out new consciousness music. It's not just new consciousness or new age music. It's everything. All music elevates humanity in many ways or teaches lessons. So remember, there's a multitude of frequencies, harmonics in all music. We all resonate with different frequencies. That respect, that's why some people are drawn to different types of artists. But overall, music and that art form is very healing and helpful to humanity all over, all different genres of music. So not just say new age or new consciousness music. So I would tell you it's not limited to just that, but yes, all music is very helpful. And yeah. 35, high Sterling and team. Many people have thyroid nodules. If they grow too large, some people have their thyroids removed. Do you see a treatment or cure for people with thyroid nodules without having to remove the thyroid? Yes, this is all part of ongoing research right now around CRISPR technology. That's gene editing technology. For those unfamiliar, CRISPR is spelled CRISPR. And all the letters in the word CRISPR are actually, it's a longer medical scientific term, but that's genome editing, what they call Cas9 editing. And so this is all part of what is going to be included in a lot of new developments over the next decade here. So these thyroid problems and nodules is all part of gene editing technology coming that will have a cure for that. 34, hello Sterling. On Gaia TV, there's a show that claims to tell the truth about secret ET activities in our solar system, including supposedly humans fighting in a war on Mars just a few decades back. Has a larger intergalactic conflict included bases on Mars with humans involved in very recent decades, or is this misinformation of some sort? I don't get that we ever had humans involved in wars on Mars. There were wars on Mars involving several extraterrestrial species. That's true. There were hybrids that were involved, but not direct Homo sapiens sapien. So I guess there's some truth in what was. I'm not familiar with this show on Gaia TV, but my team has always talked about there have been some intergalactic multi-ET species wars involved Mars. In some respects, that's how it got destroyed. It's going to renew itself. A lot of things coming up for humanity in going back to Mars. In fact, there are scientists already going to Mars right now. It's not very well known, but they're using extraterrestrial ships, both ones that are man-made and ones that are made by extraterrestrials, to go to Mars and back. Very select group of scientists are already going back and forth. 33, hello Sterling. Can you and your guides offer any insight on all the layoffs despite the supposed great economy? As a professional who works in the entertainment industry, it's becoming difficult to stay positive about my future. Well, yeah, like every industry, the entertainment industry is shifting radically, but it's shifting in ways that people are going to adapt to. So what's happening on the entertainment industry? We're seeing a lot more artificial intelligence, what's called generative AI, generating content, both spoken word, film, animation. You're going to see much more expansion around immersive entertainment, virtual reality, augmented reality. So my messaging, whoever asked this question, this is an evolution happening here. So it is important for everybody to kind of stay ahead of the curve. It's like surfing the wave. So additional training around artificial intelligence, immersive entertainment, virtual reality, holographic projection. Won't get involved in a lot of, but it's important. The messaging here is that you have to kind of retrain and evolve with the industry, and these are all brand new tools coming up. Also, things like what they call real-time rendering engines that are used like in video games will be used in advertising now. So you'll be able to place products into advertising that were never there, like in the original Sopranos, real-time render a product placement, as they say. So all of these technologies are important. You have to kind of advance, move forward. I would tell whoever asked this question, be positive. I'm very optimistic about the changes going on right now, but it's an evolution. It's a whole paradigm shift. 32, Judge Aileen Cannon just made an order that would allow for the public release of some government witness information, which might result in witness intimidation by 45 and his supporters. Will Jack Smith be able to successfully appeal this order with the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals? Yes, I get Jack Smith's going to be very successful in blocking this. Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like this will be the second round for Jack Smith and Aileen Cannon, because I think the first round was months and months ago where I think she wanted top secret documents to be viewable by 45 and his counsel, and Jack Smith successfully blocked that. So it looks like another block coming up, if you will. Jack Smith is going to jump in. It looks like whatever she's trying to do will not be successful. 31, hi Sterling and team. I remember you saying that there is a life review when we get to the other side. Is there any punishment for bad things that one has done? For example, hell, purgatory. I have heard repeatedly in church about going before God and being judged before being sent to heaven or hell. Well, first off, I talk about this all the time. There is no hell. There is no devil. People can create a hell. Even on earth, you can create an existence that feels like hell. We all create our own reality. When you go through the life review, we all feel the feelings we created for other people when we're here, both good, bad, and different. You go through that. Everybody does transition into heaven, into that next dimension. They do. But certainly if you've done a lot more things here on earth as you go through that were, let's say, questionable, mean-spirited, hateful, the life review is not going to be a pleasant experience. But everybody does move on. But there is no hell. There is no demon. I know a lot of the churches and religions preach that. That comes for me under the category of control. It's like a lot of religions want to exert that kind of control. Now, also, the one force, the one source is everywhere, omnipotent, whatever term you want to use for the one source, the one force. But you go through a group of not just the one source, one force, but a lot of angels you worked with or supported you. And there's a larger group than just the one source, one force when you go through a life review. So hopefully that helps. 30, Sterling and team. In Sweden at present time, we're being cyber attacked and told that it's by a group of Russians. Do your guides have any insight on this, and will it be stopped? Well, this is an ongoing problem worldwide, not just for the asked about Sweden here, not just bad actors in Russia, but also in the Middle East. And it's a worldwide problem, not just for Sweden. So ongoing, it looks like the US is sharing a lot of information with other world countries and helping to kind of thwart a lot of these problems. So it's an ongoing problem. I think this person said that the government, we're being cyber attacked and told by groups of Russia. Yeah, so it's all very true. It's not just bad actors in Russia, but also the Middle East. But this is going to it's going to be under control. There's going to be some malware attacks, but they'll be recoverable. Okay, makes sense. Okay, 29 to countdown. Hello, Sterling and team. I just heard that 45 is possibly considering Tim Scott as his running mate for vice president. Even though 45 is not going to win, can your guides let us know if Tim Scott will be the choice? I don't get it. It's going to be Tim Scott. I guess it's going to be another, it looks like another man to me, but not Tim Scott. And I don't even believe the decision's been made yet. I think there's been some news in the media that 45 indicated he may have already decided. I still don't see that. I see a lot of negotiation behind the scenes, but I do not see Tim Scott, as what they're telling me, as the VP selection for 45. But again, just also to reiterate, 45 is not going to win the presidential election for 2024. 28. Sterling, can you and the spiritual team tell us if North Dakota will go blue soon, and what will happen with the court case concerning the transgender youth suing the state of North Dakota over its anti-transgender medical law and the other anti-transgender laws? The court case started January 19, 2024. Well, I don't see North Dakota going blue anytime soon, I'm sorry to say. And it looks like this transgender or gender affirming care case is what I'm getting. Unfortunately, is actually going to lose in North Dakota. So whatever's going North Dakota is certainly not supportive of these laws. Looks like it'll be a continuing problem for North Dakota. So I'm sorry to say, until some things change over the next few years here in North Dakota, looks like it's very hard in these areas or for like gender affirming care. 27. Hi, Sterling. What's your take on deities that require food offerings like Lord Ganesha? Some people believe that anything you have to feed is like a demon. Is that true? Again, no demon, no devils. A lot of the ascended masters do not require food or feeding. This is what they call a human construct. And I understand, religions were developed over, thousands of years. But this is something that makes humans or humanity feel better. I know they feel like they're doing it in honor. And so it's interesting. Whenever I communicate with ascended masters or angels, guides on the other side, they're very respectful of humanity. They want nothing but love to be expressed down here. In some respects, if individuals feel like that helps them feel more connected, that's for them. The deities and the angels, guides, ascended masters, they don't require food or offerings, but I understand it's evolved through thousands of years with humanity. Okay, 26 in the countdown. Please have your guide shed some light on researchers now claiming that the world's population is about to take a catastrophic drop in the next 20 years, with birth rates falling and more women choosing not to have children in the first place. The vast majority of countries will not have the workforce to maintain current support for their aging population. How serious is this issue? I get there's going to be what I'm going to call a resetting over the next 10 years here. So a little bit of a slowdown in birth rates, and then it's going to increase again. So a little bit of a recycling, a little bit of a level set over the next 10 years here, but nothing that's going to produce a catastrophic effect worldwide. No, my team doesn't see that. 25. What is the astral plane and what is its purpose in the universe? How does it help or harm those on Earth? Well, the astral plane references a very large dimension of everything on the other side. Now, you can access the astral plane in the human form here when you disconnect your soul from the human body. That's called astral travel. When you're on the other side, heaven is part of the astral plane. That's everything. That's all the other dimensions. And you can move in and out of those dimensions quite easily. So it's nothing harmful. I think somebody said, how does it help or harm those on Earth? Well, if you're on Earth and you do astral travel, a lot of times that can then broaden your understanding of yourself, your family, your loved ones, the way the universe is put together. You can recall past lives. You can access the Akashic records. All those things are in the astral plane. So it really is almost everything else that you don't see here on Earth. When the soul disconnects from the body, that you go into the astral plane. 24. Tucker Carlson is in Russia to interview Mr. Putin. Is this really an altruistic attempt to reveal another viewpoint about world conflicts, particularly the Ukraine-Russian war, or is Tucker Carlson providing a propaganda opportunity to spread Putin's lies. For entertainment purposes only, very self-serving trip on behalf of Tucker Carlson, as well as 45. So there's negotiations going on there behind the scenes to kind of aid 45's effort, both legal and financial. So this is an opportunity to have an inner connection with Putin that would not otherwise be possible through just social media or phone calls or anything of that nature. So it's not altruistic. There's really an agenda for this whole thing, and a lot of it's to really help 45. 23. Will Princess Kate recover all right? And why is it so secret? What was she diagnosed with? Well, unfortunately, I've read on this before too. This is a serious diagnosis. This is going to be a long-term health condition for her. I don't want to get into too many details here, but this is a serious long-term diagnosis. Highly concerned about her health, her continuing health. And so I want everybody to send her a lot of love and light, but as she kind of navigates this problem. But it's going to be a rather difficult kind of longer-term problem for her. 22, does each lifetime reincarnation get better? For instance, if I feel like a good, loving person who is spiritually connected, evolved in this life, will that just be even better and amplified the next go around? Or could I choose to be a jerk and have tough circumstances next go around in order just to learn another lesson? Well, again, there's always free will on the other side. So you select the lessons you want to learn. So there's no direct connection. You certainly evolve in levels as you reincarnate cycle after cycle. But you may choose, and I see this a lot with highly evolved souls that have been down there, older souls, had more reincarnations, hundreds of reincarnations. They may come down here to experience other types of trauma in order to help educate them and help the world. So a good example is coming down to experience, very severe diseases. Now, this person is asking about whether you come down to be a jerk or not. Remember, all of our life paths are interconnected. So let's say if part of being a jerk is to be an awful politician, part of your life path might be to highlight all the areas that need fixing in politics, and that way you help. So it's not necessarily just kind of a very simple equation. It's all based on your free will understanding of where you are, how you want to evolve, and how you want to help humanity, help the universe. 21. Hello, Sterling. According to some Hindu prophecies, there should be a China-India war in 2025 with 13 Muslim nations fighting alongside with China. Do you see this happening? No, my team does not see this as all. A lot of continuing conflict around the Middle East and China and India, and we're going to see a lot of ongoing conflict and pockets of war and conflict, but nothing that was being forecast by this person here. Talk about some Hindu prophecies. My team doesn't see that happening. No. 20. Hi, Sterling. The farmers of Europe are protesting against the European Union and the elites' plan to end food farming. The media are not reporting it and appear to be in collusion. What will be the outcome of this? I see a lot of the farmers banding together very successfully. For me, this looks like has something to do with like an argument about climate change, like doing things different in farming to help climate change and farmers fighting against that. So for me, my team is saying they're going to be able to strike a balance here between what's good for climate change and what's also good for farmers and farming. So there's a balance here. This person, I guess, in the question is saying it's not being reported in the media. I'm not getting that's the case. I'm getting that a lot of this is being reported in the media. But they're going to be able to achieve a balance over the next year, 2 years here, balancing the farmers' needs and requirements with what's good for climate change. So it doesn't look like it's all just economic based. There's some good arguments going on here, although it may not seem like that. Keep getting a connection to climate change and the right kind of farming. 19. Good day, Sterling and team. You have mentioned many times that Bigfoot is a shape-shifting extraterrestrial. What do they look like without using shape-shifting? They look very similar to Palladians. They're tall, a little translucent blue. Don't have hair, which is interesting because when they look like a Bigfoot, they have a lot of hair. But they're really very tall, translucent blue in color, and most similarly look like Palladians. 18. This new trend of gender changing surgery in the younger generation is hotly debated in schools. In the future, will this be seen as progress or a tragic mistake by society of this era? Well, as we move into the future here over the next number of years, we're going to utilize a lot of scientific tools, not just CRISPR technology, but also artificial intelligence to analyze scientific behavior, emotional behavior, going to be able to make more concrete decisions about how people came down to this planet. Did they come down with a transgender blueprint? All these things, remember, in the highly evolved extraterrestrial species, all these things already exist. Transgender, LGBTQ plus, very highly evolved species already understand all this. Humanity is a bit in the dark ages on all this. So I see more tools, more scientific tools, and a greater depth and breadth of understanding as to how all this should play out and how to administer gender affirming care and when it's required. So hopefully that answers the question of this person. It's going to be hotly debated in schools here for a number of years, but the humanity is evolving. Remember, we're evolving here, a very important 3-decade cycle, 2020 to 2050. A lot of this will be part of that evolution. Okay, 17 the countdown. Hi, Sterling. Last week I saw a small white orb moving for a few seconds in my house about the middle of the day. Later that day, we found out my mother-in-law had passed in her sleep hours after I saw the orb. What did I see? And could it have been my mother-in-law, even though she had not passed? Yes, absolutely. This was your mother-in-law. And very common for loved ones. I talk about this all the time. Uh, Even a few days before the actual physical passing to a few days after a physical passing, birth angels allow us to make the rounds, communicate with loved ones, friends, family, let them know they love them, they're moving on. So we actually start the separation process of our soul from our body, many times a few days even before the actual body gives up. And it is very common, again, for loved ones to come around, make the journey to kind of say goodbye, extend love, appreciation. So in this case, it absolutely was your mother-in-law. 16. Hi, Sterling. What do your guides and team have to say about deja vu? Deja vu. How do they explain it? Well, deja vu inherently is a familiarity with a certain situation or experience that can happen for two different reasons. One is you may have had a past life in that location, and that's why it feels very, very familiar. The second is that there's a thing that happens every once in a while, which is it's a very small time slip. So you're actually experiencing something again that you already experienced a second ago. It's a broader topic, but time slips can happen every once in a while, and that's why there's that sense of familiarity. Like I think I just feel this or was here. But two different reasons for deja vu. The most common one is the familiarity because you had a past lifetime there. Sometime, by the way, when you come across a person where you feel like you've met them before, it also resonates back to a prior lifetime. That can be a bit of a deja vu experience. 15. Sterling, thank you for taking my question. In the province of Alberta, there is an extreme right-wing fringe group called Take Back Alberta. Their de facto leader is a man named David Parker, who seems to have much influence over the provincial conservative party. What is the future for him and his movement? Will he continue to gain power and popularity? Well, David Parker, to me, comes across very similar to like Steve Bannon here in the US. So it doesn't look like he'll ever hold political office, but looks like he's very influential behind the scenes. Looks like he's got money backing him up, and looks like he'll cause a lot of havoc. So there's something I would keep my eyes on. Unfortunately, for entertainment purposes only, it's almost like the Steve Bannon effect that we have here in the US. So not holding office, but yes, looks like he's going to really create, unfortunately, a lot of havoc around Alberta. Doesn't look like in the end he'll be successful, but causing a lot of havoc along the way here. 14. Hello, Sterling. I recently heard several people predicting a catastrophic solar storm to hit the Earth between 2024 and 2026. They say this will be a shocking event that will change life as we know it. What does your team have to say? No, we're going to have a lot of solar events, and they're ongoing and they're of varying scale. Um, they really refer to these as CMEs, but they're really not catastrophic. They will knock out networks maybe for a couple of days in some areas of the U.S., Asia, Middle East. So some of that's true, but nothing catastrophic that's going to change life as we know it. There won't be a major CME event, I mean, a catastrophic event coming up, not for several hundred years. So not really in our lifetime right now at all. 13, there's a group of people saying that the world will have at least a 3-day blackout where communications are down. They say we should stock up on food and resources. Do your guides see this coming to fruition? If so, when? Kind of same answer as above, that we'll see a lot of CME events coming from the sun, a lot of solar flares. Some will be significant. Some may knock out some networks for a couple of days, but they'll be restored. This includes power grids, internet networks. Remember, solar flares and CME events are happening all the time. Some larger ones will occur, but nothing that's catastrophic. So the answer, I guess, is really kind of the same answer as the previous question. 12, which court cases will get completed against 45 this year, and what will be the outcome? Well, we already saw the E. Jean Carroll case. We talked about this months ago, and I saw that being going very, very well and being done before the election. I do see the Jack Smith federal case. Looks like to me, it looks like it's going to get done very close to being completed prior to the election. I guess without the question, which will be the outcome? Yeah, it looks like Jack Smith will successfully be able to prosecute, and 45 will be found culpable in that federal case that Jack Smith is bringing. 11, will Thomas Susie, Democrat, win the seat vacated by George Santos in the New York State's 3rd congressional district against Republican Melissa Philippe? Okay. Yeah, it looks like Thomas Susie, by a very narrow margin. Looks like it's going to be a heartfelt fight, but looks like he will end up being the victorious in winning that seat. 10, what is spiritual awakening? How do we know if and when we are having an awakening? What is the duration and what is the outcome of personal transformation? Well, I always talk about this. This is a progressive process. A lot of people are looking for a light switch to be thrown. It's a progressive process. It's almost like going through levels of school or college. It's almost like as you gain knowledge in the world, let's use a kind of educational example. You don't always know necessarily you're getting smarter and smarter until sometimes you look back and you say, wow, now math is so much easier. Philosophy is so much easier. Writing is so much easier. So it's a progressive process. The awakening process is gradual, progressive. And as you develop more and more skills, it's almost kind of a look back where you say, look, I'm more highly evolved. I can now talk to angels and guides easier. I can now, I'm more claircognizant, I have a knowingness. But it's a progression. All right. So I would encourage people not to get too hard on themselves looking for that light switch to flip. Keep moving forward, one step and one foot in front of the other. And it's that progression that's important. 9, do our pets ever have jobs to do after they cross over to the other side? Yes, in many cases, they will help human beings, family members here, not just animal families, but human families they were with. They'll also help other animals cross over. They may have had difficult crossings. Yes, some animals in many cases have jobs just like humans do. 8, my spouse of 60 years passed away recently. Is there such a thing as soulmates? And if so, do we stay with that being throughout future lives in future places and spaces? So we all have many soulmates that go through each lifetime, and soulmates come in the form of spouses, girlfriends, boyfriends, best friends, sometimes even bosses. What's interesting, whenever I talk to people, I have sessions. Many times, a big soulmate they have here may have, in fact, yes, been a soulmate in prior lifetimes. And sometimes you may have even been siblings in a prior lifetime, which is sometimes why spouses may get along so well here, or sometimes fight like cats and dogs. But all soulmates are a part of our unique spiritual families on the other side of thousands of members. So we do have many soulmates. The one thing I always make a distinction of, people sometimes ask about twin flames. As twin flames, people try to define it. It's like a single soul that divides in half and you find the other half. According to my team, that never happens. Souls don't divide in half. But yes, we have soulmates. They're all part of a unique spiritual family. And yes, many times individuals that were spouses or boyfriends, girlfriends, or partners in this lifetime may choose to do it over many lifetimes, but not required. It's all part of free will. 7, hello, Sterling. Baltimore, Maryland is a unique city which continues to be under a dark cloud. It's a complicated scenario with lots of problems, racism, nepotism, and a lack of leadership. Does your team have any insight into whether Baltimore will recover from these dark times and when will it turn around? It's going to be a good 8 to 10 years here for Baltimore to turn around. So it's going to be a bit of a long slog. Really nothing, it won't feel like it's a big change to like the year 2034. I wish I could tell you it was faster, but it's going to be a long slog here. 6, if the Akashic records hold everything that happens in the past, present, future, how does free will exist? It sounds as though everything is predestined. This is a larger topic, but I will tell you that first off, if you think it in this lifetime, it's already part of the Akashic records. You come down with a blueprint. Yes, free will intersects with your life path and determines the speed at which you move through your life path and the scale and scope of achievement. But the concept of the Akashic records is very difficult for a lot of people. I understand that. It's almost like the concept of infinity with no beginning, no end, ongoing. The universe is infinite. But the Akashic records were developed by the one source, one force as a way to produce some sort of order and reckoning in the universe. So it's a large topic. At some point, I'll probably do a whole show on the Akashic records. But interestingly enough, if you think it and you actually even create it in this lifetime, it is part of your life path and it is part of the Akashic records. 5, we just lost our dog just shy of her 13th birthday due to what the vet thought was a brain tumor. I recently heard an animal communicator say that it's not a good idea to put animals down, even if they are sick and dying in most cases, but to instead let them die on their own because it puts them into a bad state for a while after they pass over to the other side. This has brought much confusion, concern to me, and asking myself if we did the right thing. So animals are always here to teach us lessons. They're here teaching us lessons. Animals are highly evolved, part of the angelic realm. My team always says no truth in the fact that by helping to euthanize them or helping give them a very peaceful passing, that puts them in a bad state on the other side. All entities transition to heaven in a somewhat easy way. There's life reviews. Animals really have very simple life reviews, but they don't get stuck. And even animals have life path blueprints. So euthanasia, for example, is part of their life path blueprint. I know this is a place that humanity always gets stuck because they think that because they made a certain decision, now it makes things more difficult for the passing of an animal or a family member. But it's all part of a life path blueprint. Lessons for you? No, it does not create any more difficulties for them on the other side. So please don't carry that baggage. It's not true. 4, hi Sterling. Will 45 face charges for misleading the American public he swore to protect from COVID, which left hundreds and thousands of Americans dead? No, unfortunately, I don't see any direct legal consequences. There's consequences in terms of morality and his path going forward, but don't see direct legal problems. I think that's why this question is being asked. Face charges. No, I mean, there's plenty of charges coming to 45. I think over 91 charges so far and a lot of legal cases. So there'll be a reckoning, if you will, both in this plane, this world, and the afterlife for 45, but I don't see a lot of legal charges coming on COVID for him. 3, I own a hair salon, and oftentimes when we close and leave at night, immediately The camera picks up many orbs. A few months ago, in the middle of the night, it looked like fireworks were there. So many orbs going off in our back room. Can you tell me what that was and what was happening? This is a larger group of departed souls that look like they frequented that location or like that location. So, without knowing directly where this hair salon was, my team saying there's a group of souls came back. They like that location and may have been clients at that location at one point. But there was a group of souls coming back to visit in a very benevolent way. They like the location, nothing like a haunting. And number two and number one, I always take notes before I start the show, the program. So I'll kind of read those back to you. Two, do you see anything coming up this week? A more significant rounds of legal verdicts around the Supreme Court decisions relative to 45's immunity and the voting ballot inclusion. So a lot of stuff coming up with the Supreme Court. Also, just a quick note, 45, again, will not receive immunity, and 45 will be on the general election ballot. So I've always said 45 is going to be the GOP nominee. He will be on the general election ballot. A lot of the primary ballots that could go back and forth, as we've already seen. Again, here another thing. Aggressive discussions for Nikki Haley to drop out of the presidential race. And I do see that happening. It looks like over a very short time period here, over the next 1 to 2 weeks, looks like Nikki Haley will actually drop out. And I do see continuation successful of new hostage negotiations and progress with Qatar, Israel, the US, Egypt, and even Hamas. So leading towards could be a multi-stage ceasefire, not permanent, but multi-stage. And eventually we're going to see a release of more hostages here. So we saw progress last week, the week before. My team was talking about it. And it looks like we're just on the verge here, the cusp of making this happen. And I feel like we could see a very significant development here coming up this week. And number one in the countdown, do you have anything your guides want to share? When we stand in our truth, we make a tremendous difference in our lives by managing our personal power and always producing the kind of important communications and support beneficial to others. Always tell your truth and allow the messages to reach others in a way they are supposed to receive them. And on that note, that concludes the show being recorded for today, Sunday, February 11th, 2024. For those who need to reach me, as always, go to sterlingpsychicmedium.com. Look for the Book a Session tab. I think there's dates now open in May and June still, and even a couple in July. So that availability is there. Very easy to see from the online calendar. And I want to wish everybody a lot of goodwill and tremendous love to you and your families as always. Take care. I'll see you all again very soon.